student doesn't understand vocabulary, they won't be able to distinguish meanings of words, and they won't be able to progress in their reading skills. If the students aren't able to gain vocabulary knowledge, they will not be able to comprehend what they're reading and writing. Also, without vocabulary knowledge, students will not be able to learn content area information.
1, 2, 3, baby, you and me, girl.
Expanding the students' knowledge of words will ensure their understanding of the different aspects of vocabulary. For example, using grand conversation, word walls, and book talks, the teacher can get the students actively involved in sharing vocabulary with each other. Many students' vocabularies grow at about 3,000 words a year, or at a rate of 7 to 10 words a day.
Education ain't complete, just gonna show you how to get an A.
There are different levels of word knowledge. The first is the unknown word. Students do not recognize this particular word. The second, initial recognition. Students have seen or heard the word and can pronounce it, but they do not know the meaning of the word. The third, partial word knowledge. Students know one meaning of a word and can use it in a sentence. The fourth, full word knowledge. Students know more than one meaning of the word and they can use it in several different ways. Vocabulary knowledge and reading achievement are very closely related. For developing a student's word study concept, it is not enough to have the students memorize one definition of a word for them to develop a full understanding of the actual vocabulary word. For example, the word brave. Brave can be used as a noun, an adjective, or an adverb. Many words have more than one meaning, so it is important for the students to develop an awareness of these kinds of words, and it is important for them to be able to distinguish the difference. For example, the word bank. Our textbook states that the word bank has over 12 different meanings. It is important for the student to be able to understand the meanings. Homophones are pretty much known as words that confuse. They're words that are spelled differently, and they mean different things, but they sound the exact same. It is important to help your students with note cards or in any way you can so that they can distinguish these words. It is difficult to assess students' vocabulary knowledge. However, when upper grade level students have a vocabulary book, it makes it easier for the teacher to assess and evaluate the students on how they're doing with the words they should be learning. Vocabulary books and assignments allow the teacher to get a good idea on where the students should be in their knowledge, and it helps the teacher to see where to challenge them in their word studies.
ABC, 1, 2, 3, baby, you and me, girl.
Directions for taboo. Each team receives 6 vocabulary cards. The vocabulary words are at the top of each card, and the students are to pass around the cards and are to describe the vocabulary words as the definition in their book does. They are not allowed to use the words below the vocabulary word at the top to describe it unless the students get a free card. Then, they are allowed to be creative with their word. The first team to finish wins. For example, if the student was given a card with the word character on top, the book definition could be something like features that form an individual. So, the bullet points underneath the word character would be words that the student could not say to describe the word character because it does not match the definition given in the student's vocabulary book. Here is another example of a card that a student could come across in this game. The actual definition of this word in their vocabulary book would be something like similar or alike in every way. So the students would not be able to use the bullet points underneath the word identical to describe the word. They would actually have to use the definition in the back of their vocabulary books. This is an example of a free card. In this, the students are allowed to use any type of description or definition that they want. The students are supposed to be creative. The students can use any type of experience they've had or any examples they have of real life to use to describe this vocabulary word to their other teammates. Why is vocabulary so important? Remember, the vocabulary and reading are very closely related. Without vocabulary knowledge, students would not be able to understand the words they read, which means they would have no comprehension. It is important to make vocabulary a fun and exciting experience for all students.